fully understand this story, you need to know where my mindset was before I got this manager. She was a manager from down under, and by down under, I don't mean Australia. So, I applied for floral. And if you've seen any of my other videos, then you probably know that I succeeded in getting into floral, which was pretty weird because I knew nothing. I knew what a rose was. I knew my colors. I knew what a lily was. And I knew what a sunflower was. I don't remember what else I knew, but I did not know a lot. So I didn't blame them when I thought they didn't hire me. But then they hired me, which was insane. But they only hired me to work Thursdays and in floral and every other Saturday in GMD, because the gal who worked the other Saturdays had her kids the Saturdays that I was going to cover. So I was helping out. And I was only going to work that for 4 hours. So knowing that, I was like, okay, at least my foot's in the door. I'm going to try to apply for another job. And this isn't relevant to the story, but I applied for building dressers. And if you know me, I'm not good at math. So, anyway, I went in for my first day in floral, and the gal there, we'll call her A, was super nice, super helpful, super patient with me. And she was like, so, what's your availability? And I'm like, all day, every day, all day, every day, except for Saturday, because I gotta work GMD. And she's like, I'm gonna need you a lot more than just on Thursdays. I'm like, yay, because we were the only 2 people in the department. She was the delivery driver, but she was acting as the manager because the previous manager quit, and so she took over, but she wasn't the manager because she wanted to be paid more than what they were going to pay the manager, and so they're like, no. But she was acting as manager and not getting paid for being a manager. She was still being paid for being a delivery driver. Anyway, here, it was a very interesting beginning because I started just before Thanksgiving. Like, Thanksgiving was my first week. And she, all of a sudden, like a light switch, everything like started going wrong at home, and there was just so much family drama. And so she'd be like, okay, this is how you do this. I need this done. I gotta go. And I completely understood. I still completely understand. I hope she's doing okay. If you happen to see this and you remember me, hi. You were a good acting manager. I appreciated you. Anyway, I do learn best by the seat of my pants. I really do. So, amazingly, that technique worked for me, even though it was a little difficult. And then, just before Valentine's Day, she looked at me and she's like, so, I turned in my 3 weeks notice, and I was like, I understand. And she's like, I'll be here until the week end of Valentine's Day. And I was like, oh. And she's like, the only reason I'm staying through Valentine's Day is because this is your first Valentine's Day in floral, and I want to help you. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you. I appreciated her for that because I have never, ever worked anything nearly as stressful as Valentine's Day in floral. I could make an entire video about that, but that's not the topic of this series of videos. This is about my boss that came after her. So, after she left, the manager of the floral departments, several floral departments in the area, she was the manager of the managers of those departments. I'm not good at explaining things. Thank you for bearing with me. She made my schedule. And it was kind of by the day, basically. I'd be like, hey, am I working today? And she'd be like, yeah. And she would get people from other departments to come and help, but because it wasn't their department, like their floral department, like they knew what they were doing, but at the same time, like they didn't know what was going on in my department. And so they helped the best they could, and I appreciated that. And because I was still like brand freaking new learning. I was like, I barely know how to make a bud vase. But I worked by myself for 7 weeks with barely any knowledge of floral. And so I was desperate for a manager. I was desperate. Everyone kept joking, oh, maybe you should be manager. And I'm like, nope, I don't like responsibility. I didn't. But the point of this video is to express why I was so desperate and why I let myself get in this very toxic boss-worker relationship that ended up happening afterwards. And my train of thought just... Anyway, so I was very, very desperate. I was willing to do whatever it took to make this work. I really just was so excited to have someone to help me work, that I wasn't doing it alone and I wasn't going day by day. I was able to start going week by week. But this is part 1. Nothing super spicy yet, but it's coming. So, thank you. If you've made it this far, I appreciate you so much for your patience with my... And thank you for being patient as well with the fact that I haven't posted the last 2 days. I hope your day has been wonderful. I just want you guys to know that... Excuse me, I'm disgusting apparently. That's not what I wanted you to know. You have worth. You are wonderful. You matter. Your feelings matter. Your life matters. You are important. You are so, so important.